And welcome back to ScavTalk, everyone. Today's episode, we are joined with Hayes. Is it Hayes or Hazy? I never really knew.
It's Hayes. Yeah. Hayes.
Awesome. And we're going to be discussing some of the new arena leaks. Ryzhy Chapter 5, is it? Season 1 is closed, apparently.
Yeah.
And discussing some other topics as well.
Yeah.
We've got the end of the labs event. But anyway, thank you, Hayes, for joining us. It is good to have you on here. A fellow Brit. You know, there's quite a few of us.
Quite a few of us. Actually is in the Tarkov community. Yeah, it's quite fun, isn't it? There's quite a few. It's I mean, I could name off names, but it'll take me ages. So yeah. No, Thanks, Abby, though. Thanks for bringing me on. I know we spoke about it on like Twitter, but when I made like it's like some sort of sweeping statement on Twitter, and then you were like, we should chat about this, and then here we are.
Your church is good at jumping on people like that.
Yeah.
Just like, yes, you should join the podcast. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's
good.
Yes, feel free to. You want to introduce yourself to people who may not know you, and give us a bit of your background, how you got into Tarkov in the first place. It's always usually a wonderful place to start.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Hayes. Been streaming for I don't know what it is now. I mean, when Call of Duty Go started, so like probably I don't know, maybe 8 years plus. Been streaming for that long. Been partner for 6 years on Twitch, and just I don't know. Kind of got into Tarkov through. What would you say?
You were a PUBG player before, right?
That's right. Yeah. So even before that, I played Call of Duty. Then I moved on to sort of like CS:GO. Like I was mainly like a console player, and then moved on to PC games because my PC I think upgraded or something. And then there was some games I wanted to play like CS:GO and H1Z1 when that first came out as well. The battle royale mode of that. And then I kind of got into battle royales after that, and I was always into DayZ. So that was like my survival kind of thing. I really enjoyed that. I love MMOs as well, but they're not so great to watch on Twitch. It's a weird thing, isn't it? But yeah, no. I think through kind of DayZ and then Armor 2 DayZ mod, all that stuff, and then went into Armor and then Armor 3 Battle Royale, and that was kind of my my entry into sort of the survival kind of genre in a way. And then I think during that time, what's funny is that Battlestate Games was trying to sort of get their game out there, right? Like that was, I don't know, 2016, I'm not sure. Like around there was when they had like, I think it was Woods and Factory. I don't know if Customs was there with that. It might have been, but it was the time when you could like choose your spawn on each side of like Woods, and it was mad. They gave me like a press account to like try out the game and stream it. And I had like the Left Behind edition or something. And I had that. I played it for like 2 hours, and I was like, okay, this game is interesting. It was a great concept. Obviously, like it's cool, like realistic guns, all that stuff. It's totally different now to what it was back then. Like wow, insane. But I was like 2 hours. I think that's enough for me. I was like, it was like 30 frames a second, and it was like really clunky, and I was like, oh god. I just kind of like let go of it and just kind of put it back in the drawer, and then I realized like, so I was doing lots of like competitive PUBG stuff. So in PUBG 2017, kind of got into the sort of competitive side of things, played for professional teams, went to different countries to play. That lasted about like 2 years or so. Then did some analyst work for Team Vitality in Berlin for the Pro League. And that was good fun. Then kind of stopped doing that, and then just kind of go back to streaming. And PUBG it just wasn't the same. It was just like I just got so bored. And then I think it was Point 12, which was when Reserve came out. That was I saw lots of things on Twitter about Tarkov and Tarkov. I was like, I have Tarkov, don't I? I do, yeah. So I was like, you know what? Let's give that a go. Let's stream it. And lo and behold, people love that stuff. It's like I think my average viewership like just jumped up by double from PUBG to playing Tarkov in like the first day. And I was like, why don't I just stream this? This is great. I'm here now. This is me. And so that was that. And I've just kind of sort of sound Tarkov ever since. I guess 2019. No, it must have been about I think the start of November 2019, around there. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so
awesome.
I mean, it's been 3 years now. Actually, it's crazy.
Yeah, I kept like a little note of like, because I always forget when the wipes are. I'm like, I'm really bad at that, and I think so. I joined just a little bit before I was on. Well, I've got it written down that I bought it in the 1st of May 2019.
All right,
I think,
cool.
And then reserve got added a little bit after that. I think I joined in 11.7. For what it's worth. But
so I think 0.12 was the reserve patch. I think that's when I joined, and then there was a whole new map, everything. Like everyone was really hyped about it on Twitter. That's why I kind of thought maybe I should give it a go, like, just see what it's like. And here I am 3 years later, like stuck.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah. That does make sense actually, because it says so if I got it in May and then reserve came out in October, I'd probably have had it for like a couple of months, whatever. Start to maybe understand what was going on a little bit. But no, I've said a million times actually that Tarkov's like one of it's like almost the perfect stream game, because there's enough downtime to talk to chat.
Yeah.
Like the relatively long loading times for a streamer is actually not that bad, right? Because it means that you can go to the bathroom, or you can like talk about some random concept while it's like loading up. And then the game, like people love to experience the game, but they don't always want to play. And so living vicariously through somebody else, watching them get their ass handed to them is quite good.
Yeah, definitely. It's the same thing with like battle royales, where like when I was playing battle royales, there's like lots of kind of action, and then there's a bit of downtime when you're healing yourself and stuff. You can talk to chat and sort of chat about what just happened, whatever. Same thing with Tarkov, and I think I think battle royales and just the survival genre, even DayZ, even though it's a bit slower, it still had the same vibe, and I think that's what makes them such good sort of watching games. Really, yeah.
Indeed. Yeah. Well, it's been an interesting week. It's definitely been an interesting week. What do you want to dive into first, Church? Do you want to talk about the event, or
sure?
Do you want to talk about? Let's talk about the Labs event then. You've been playing the Labs event much, Hayes?
Yeah, I have actually. Yeah, I've been kind of like in between my PMC raids, not going labs. I've been going labs on my scav raids and trying to either make friends and failing, or just being like, screw this, I'm shooting everyone. I just go ham. But yeah, no, I've been on it a bit. Yeah, it's been good fun. It's chaos though, absolute chaos. Like you're trying to like make sense of like who's who and what's what. Is that a PMC? I don't know. Gluhar's there. Oh no, they're shooting at me now because I'm too close to Gluhar. Like it's mad. I don't know.
Yeah, it is crazy. I've actually had a lot of fun on it. Honestly, it's been good because I don't normally play labs a lot. I don't know about you, but I'm not a big labs guy.
No.
It's like the community is so divided into like the people that sort of mained labs when it was free, and then it got gated and they're still like sick at it or whatever, and people who didn't really play labs that much, and then when the barrier came up, it's like, well, it's hard to learn now because when you go in, you get your ass handed to you, and it's expensive. So when you get these open free sessions, I think it's awesome. So I've been playing Scav on it just pretty much every time that I can because it's great, and it's almost got its own little meta of like playing Scav, which is cool. And then I've actually then been using up the labs cards. I've been saving basically the whole wipe and playing PMC on there too, because the whole I'm much less scared. Like, I mean, first it's the end of the wipes, doesn't matter, right? The gear's it's all going to be gone soon anyway. But the normal meta of labs is just completely gone. I don't feel like I'm just going to have somebody just steamroll over me in the first 30 seconds, knowing like I make one step on metal and they know exactly where I am. It's just like radar Chad ears, and it just comes around the corner and I just get laser beamed, right? Because there's scouts everywhere. There's Gluhart and his boys. There's just people all over the place. It's such a mess. To actually find another PMC is kind of difficult because you're just wading through scav bodies. Like, I don't know if you've seen some of the tweets with people who are trying to get the high score and stuff. What was the highest? I think I've seen like 85 so far. Someone got, was it like Tix or someone?
It's crazy.
Like 85 kills in one go. There's quite a few people who had like 69 kills. It was pretty good.
Nice.
Exactly. So it's honestly been really fun, and I've actually enjoyed it quite a lot. It's one of those things. It's like, do you just go in to get as many kills you physically can until you die? Which is sort of what I've been doing, kind of. Like, I have been leaving if it's, if my armor's like completely trashed, I'm like, right, let's try and leave. But no, it's good. But like as Scav, it's been weirdly entertaining. At first when I went in, I wasn't sure if I was really going to enjoy it, because I was like, well, I can't shoot the other Scavs. Gluhar shoots me, but I can't really shoot him. The other PMCs are not many of them. But when I realized that the trick to playing Scav at the moment on labs is you have to go in and you have to find yourself an AI Scav buddy who will follow you around, because they are the karma detector, right? So you need to push them in front of other people, and then when they go, oh, Swashili, and start firing, you're just like, that man's a bad man. And I've just been like racking up scav karma by shooting people that AI scavs are shooting, and it's great. You have to like bring them around as like this sort of really clunky sort of save the president kind of, scav karma radar mission. Like, it's so weird.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. That's actually not a bad idea, to be fair. I've been kind of doing that, but not in that kind of way. I've been making them, follow me to sort of like have sort of like bait to, so if someone shoots at me, they'll shoot at him maybe, or I don't know, whatever. But yeah, like that's actually not a bad idea. That's kind of funny. I mean, now that's over. I can't use it. So
yeah.
Oh well.
Yeah.
Now I know, Hayes, you like Reserve as a map. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's one of my okay ones. I mean, my favorite all time is Shoreline.
Okay.
I say Shoreline, I mean Resort, really.
Yeah, I get you.
Like when I say Shoreline, I mean Resort. And then, well, so unfortunately, my favorite is still Interchange, but not at the moment. Obviously, just it's such a shame. I've dreamed of like a really cool like shooter map in a mall, and like Interchange is literally perfect. It's so good, but it's just the lighting and the little things, and I don't know, and the loot dispersion with whatever.
Dude, you and me are like the same breed on this thing. Yeah, I'm right there with you.
It's so frustrating. No, I what is that? My first wipe, I actually played Interchange like nonstop. I got I got Kappa my first wipe, and then I got the tracksuit my first wipe. Where I don't know what brought me to do that. I'm just insane. I think it took, because I was doing it like where I'm not like fully going for every raid. Like if I don't find killer, then I'll just go and farm things and shoot PMCs, and I'll have like a 30-minute raid. It's not just like in and out kind of things. That took me like a few months, but it was good fun though. I really enjoyed it. And maybe kind of sick of Interchange actually.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah, so but I loved it at the start. It was so good. I think that was the time when the lighting was okay. Like there wasn't any issues with lighting, and it was I don't know. And then I think they did some sort of change. I don't know, maybe last year where they were trying to fix the lighting between outdoors and indoors, or what they said. I'm not sure what they really meant by that, but it scuffed it. So
because I think it was when they did the power expansion.
Yeah,
I think that's right when it got scuffed, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere in that range.
But yeah, you know what? Potentially, yeah, that sounds about right, ish. Yeah, like when you have to turn on the power to then, yeah, I think so. Yeah, no, I mean, Reserve is it's nice. I don't mind it. I think I wasn't quite sure, but now I'm pretty sure. I think the larger part of the underground's kind of ruined it in a way.
Yeah,
I'm kind of like not ruined it, because it's nice. It's good. It's cool to have. And it's nice to kind of get around a bit, but it's just there's too much good stuff down there. There's raiders, and like everyone just kind of like goes underground, and then you don't see anyone like upstairs. And I'm still so confused why they've changed Shootborn Heaven to Reserve instead of Interchange. It's so much harder. Like in Interchange, there's so many long angles, like down towards Tech Light, like upstairs.
Right.
It was so much fun. I used to love Interchange Shootborn Heaven, and I was it's just like a weird map now that no one really goes on.
No, definitely, because I feel like Reserve this fight for Shooterborn, it's like literally the first minute is your only window to get Shooterborn.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's the thing. It used to make sense, right? Before all of the underground stuff was there, but then now it doesn't really make sense anymore, because like no one's down there, which really sucks. It is such a shame. It's actually one of the quests that's basically sealed the name. I've like flip-flopped the whole wipe between like, am I going to get Kappa? No, I'm not. There's no way. And then it's like, oh, my maybe. No. But Shooterborn, I left it way too late, and it's one of those quests that like I'm just not going to get done now. There's just no way, and I don't want to dedicate the time to doing it, and that's the thing. So it's like the 125 meters on Reserve, which like it's doable, but the 125 meters on Customs is just like absolutely no go for me. There's just no way.
Yeah, there's only like one spot where if you find like a nice angle from a window, and then you sit there for the whole raid and just wait, which is it's just not the gameplay you want to. I mean, if you're streaming it, like it's just not what you want to do, is it? Sit there for the whole raid.
Exactly, and the same thing with capturing outposts. Like I'm just not going to do either of those two quests. Like it just doesn't justify the time. So, but I don't know. Like it's weird. It's like because they moved it away, right? Because a lot of people complained about the way the interchange was before with Shooterborn.
I don't know why they. It must have been some sort of Reddit thing. I don't know. Like
I remember I'm still so confused at the time, and I was like, yes, this is a great change. I remember thinking that at the time.
I thought it was like, okay, that's fair enough. And now that it's happened, like because basically all the loot is now has always been indoors. So if there's there's rarely anyone outside unless they're in windows, but you can't see inside the windows because it's pitch black because of the lighting thing that they have in Tarkov, which again annoys me. I'm actually kind of worried about Streets of Tarkov considering there's so many buildings and the window lighting. You know, when there's someone at a window but it's completely pitch black, you can't. I'm actually kind of worried about that because I don't know. I want to really love Streets, but it might kind of ruin it for me slightly. But we'll see. But
yeah, we shall see. We shall see. Yeah, just think about reserve. Like, there's one thing that I think maybe me and Church talked about ages ago or something. It'd be kind of cool if the power switch, you know, you pulled it and then raiders appear, whatever. But there's also like, I don't know, a 5-minute countdown or whatever, and it just like gasses the whole underground, so you can only be in there for a certain amount of time.
That'd be cool.
That'd be pretty fun. It's like you got to do your stuff and then get out of D2 before the gas turns off, whatever. And like, anyone who's left has to just get out and go back and play normal reserve again. You know,
it's actually just the D2 rats have just farted and everyone's gonna get up. Yeah.
No, what I was gonna ask you is, I'm kind of surprised that you said that you don't play labs, because given your background, you know, like competitive gaming, you know, it's like stereotype. I would like peg you for like a labs main because it's, you know, it's like that hyper competitive map, so to speak. So I'm curious, like why labs is not really one of those maps you play.
I don't know. It's weird because like you would think that I would enjoy like, you know, super try hard and like, you know, picking angles and stuff like. I do like that, and but I feel like there's just a different kind of, it's not enjoyable on labs just because everyone else is doing it, which kind of like makes me a hypocrite in a way. But I don't know, like when it's like everyone's kind of like, you know, zooming past corner, like looking left, looking right, and like it's just a bit. It's not Tarkov for me. I feel like.
Okay.
I do enjoy the tactical slow play and like kind of methodical kind of, you know, outflanking, outmaneuvering. You can't really do that on labs. I feel like there's so many like long hallways or open areas, unless you're in like freezer or red or whatever, or underground. But like I don't know, it's just a different kind of vibe. It's I always feel like on edge in labs. I'm gonna get a one tap from just some random angle because some guy's like hiding behind some glitched out like filing cabinets, and I just can't. I don't know. It just feels like everyone on labs just abuses everything they can possibly do. It's always abused. So I'm just like, I'd rather just play another map, you know.
For you, kind of takes you out of the Tarkov experience when it's like extremely metagamed. I get you.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, for sure.
I totally get what you mean, honestly. Because I almost equate labs because it's indoors, it's corridors, it's very, you know, industrial kind of environment, whatever. It reminds me a lot of, and the maps are quite clean and because of the environment that it's in. It reminds me again a lot of the more, and that's probably why the user base and the player base of those particular maps is the way it is. But it reminds me a lot of like CS and like Valorant and those kind of things where it's, you know, it's like crosshair placement, you know, corners, like there's very specific angles and all this kind of stuff. It's actually very much more like that. Whereas your background is very similar. I mean, obviously you were playing competitively and I was just playing, you know, doing whatever. But our like a gaming background is actually quite similar because I played the original DayZ Alpha as well, the Arma 2 mod, and a lot of PUBG. And those are, you know, most of those environments, they're all outdoors. There's lots of flanking, lots of tactics, big movements. There's tons of terrain, and it's about like spotting people. So it's just a completely different vibe, right? It's like in labs, you kind of know where people. It's a bit like, you know, it's a big factory, really. It's like factory's good in some ways, but you know, it's sort of solved, right? You know all the spots where anybody could be. You know, you check all those spots. Like it's much less. It's less dynamic in some ways, and it's just more on the kind of whoever has the better aim wins rather than whoever has the better tactics wins. And it's just it's a preference thing, and that's the way that I feel about it. And it just sort of attracts a certain specific kind of player. But the battle royales have always been a bit more open.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird that I don't actually like woods too much. That's kind of strange for me, actually. You'd think that I would like woods, but I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, like in terms of, I've lost my train of thought now. No. Anyway, so like going back to like Arma 3 as well. Like Arma 3's got huge maps, like with the battle royale kind of thing. There's sort of like mountains, hills, and like you can. It was so vast. I think. Go back to my original point I forgot. I prefer sort of like drawn out gunfights, like sort of strategical kind of like play where you kind of outmaneuver, outflank, and kind of you shoot from one angle, then back off and kind of change your angles and move around. Like I like the sort of the drawn out fights because that is like loads of fun to play and to watch. I feel like it, instead of just like you sprint around a corner, bang, headshot. It's like okay, I mean that was pretty impressive, right? But what was that, like a second? Like then what? I don't know. I just like to sort of make a meal of things, I suppose. Yeah.
It does tell a better story though, so that you try to peek and you both shoot at each other, you're both hurt, you go behind cover, you flank, you see the guy run off, and then you do a huge flank around the whole map, and then you finally catch the guy right at the end, you throw a nade, he has to come out of cover, and then you finally kill him, and everyone's like, hey, we got him, right? It's that story, it's different. It's a different
100%.
vibe. I completely get what you mean. And also you feel like a hero as well. Like sometimes when you do certain plays, it's one of those things, like Tarkov's one of those weird games where I can still remember things that happened like 2 or 3 years ago, like in like particularly sick plays that I'm proud of or whatever. I like remember throwing a grenade in this particular place, and so the guy's forced to come out the other side, and then you headshot them on their way out, and you're like, yeah, that was so good. But like a lot of other games, each game just sort of blends in, each match just blends from one into another. But Tarkov has these like really high moments of just they don't happen that often, so it's awesome when it does. It's awesome when it does.
Yeah, definitely.
So
cool.
We got the latest Chronicles of Ryzhy. Was it episode 5, if I'm not mistaken?
Yes.
And within that video, it also stated season 1's come to a conclusion, which I was like, whoa, that's news to me. Didn't expect
that's
that.
Funny. Yeah, that's mad. I mean, what is it like? Well, I guess there'll be season 2 and whatever. It depends on what how many want to do. I suppose they could probably continue it. Maybe I don't know, like midway through next wipe, and then just kind of like continue on until the wipe, whatever. Could be kind of cool actually. There's a lot of things in there that I didn't expect. It's weird because it actually came out when I was on the golf course. I think I spoke about this before the podcast, but just playing golf today, and it came out. I was like, ooh. So I was sat there on the fairway of the 6th hole, just like, watching this thing, and I think I missed the end of when they, when he was in the trunk, like he got hit over the head. I missed that part somehow, I think, but it's so good, like that they do this kind of stuff as well. I love it. It's just, my only gripe is that they should really get this stuff in game. I imagine they probably will do at some point down the line when it's released. They'll have it all fleshed in game and it's all part of the lore. So I don't know, we'll see. But
unless you're highly connected into the Tarkov universe or on social media, you don't necessarily see everything. But for anybody who hasn't seen it yet, go and watch the Chronicles of Ryzhy Part 5 or Chapter 5 or Bit 5 or whatever it was they called it. I can't remember now. Go and watch that because it was pretty cool. But we saw a couple of sick things in there actually that I wasn't necessarily expecting. I wasn't expecting them to tease so many elements all in one video, especially not in this kind of video too. I mean, I think just there was the Riot Shield first off. Like they've teased the Riot Shield before. One of Gluhar's guards has got it. I'm just like, there's something about Riot Shields though that just made me go, no, because it just seems to be so toxic in every game that they enter into.
Yeah.
So long as it's not, class 6 with like 5,000 durability, it's like, please no. As long as it's relatively defeatable, and it'll probably just be a gimmick in EFT. Here's hoping.
Yeah.
I mean,
fingers crossed.
I would imagine, because I'm no like firearms expert, but I would imagine, because I think they're like designed for like 9mm rounds to like stop or like mostly stop. So I imagine in Tarkov it probably would be like class 3 because they kind of like up the classes a bit for like face shields and stuff and helmets. So maybe they'll have the same logic there. I'm not sure.
I kind of wouldn't mind them being class 4. I think they could be up to class 4 without being game breaking because class 4 is kind of like the staple. You know what I mean? It's like most people build around defeating class 4, so I feel like that would be all right. It's like 5.6A1 is going to go through like 50%. There's like BT, PP is going to defeat it. Like you're going to get wrecked by BP 762. I think that feels like an okay place. But if it goes up to class 5 or more, I'm not sure. I don't know. That's when I'll start to question everything.
Yeah. I mean, as you said, like they tend to get super toxic in most games. Like it's it's not even toxic. It's just like it feels like
It's
they're just
really
being
like,
cheesy.
cheesy. Yeah, annoying.
Yeah, it's just
cheesy,
like
yeah.
really, like, come on, man,
Yeah.
like just fight me, like, come
Right.
on, just sort of hide behind this little thing with this little window, like. Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, it could be a thing. I mean, it could just be that you can only use like a pistol with it, right? And I mean, you could just be sort of the first, like, you could be, using that as an entry to sort of breach, say, Kiba or something. Like one goes in with the shield, and then next one kind of like gets behind, and then I don't know, throws a nade or something. I don't know. But
That would
I mean,
be cool.
Yeah,
shoot around, like shooting over the shoulder of the other guy, and
yeah, exactly.
Almost
so
like a role for someone to play in like a squad, like a support role or whatever.
That's it. Yeah. Or you could just have a guy sat in the corner in interchange with a bright shield, waiting for you to walk past. Yeah,
He's just unkillable. Wait for you to loot. The graphics card goes up behind you. Yeah.
God,
I can imagine.
I don't know.
I wonder too if it's on your back, because I think what Marauders does this when you have, because they have a Riot shield, when it's on your back, it's like effectively works still. So you just can't be shot in the back.
It's the Tarkov pan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I got one just there. PUBG pan. Yeah, it's no, yeah. Please no. My God, it should be like the backpack where it just goes straight through. It just doesn't, like, if it's not in your hands, like
yeah.
But then I don't know. I can see all the bugs happening now where like it kind of works at a certain point on your back, and then until it's like registers as not in your hands, then it doesn't work. It could be abused. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah.
People are just like cycling guns constantly. Front and back simultaneously. Just
cheesing them the heck out of it. Yeah.
Double Riot shield, one on your back, one on the front. The impenetrable
Please,
PMC.
no, please.
Double Riot shield Altin. I'm calling it now. It's the new meta.
Oh,
That's funny.
And a 5/7. But yes, if the AI only has it, someone in chat was saying, and I think that may well be the case. I think it might just be a boss guards thing. I'm not sure whether it's going to be a player thing. Don't know whether that necessarily makes it any better. I guess you can still avoid fighting those particular boss guards, or the AI is the AI, right? So they're stupid enough. You can abuse it and get around it some way, but we'll just have to see. I can't imagine it's going to be, just because of the way Tarkov plays, I can't imagine it'll be all powerful, because normally these things are just like super indestructible, totally bulletproof, whatever, but like EFT is just not going to be that way. So that gives me a small grain of hope. And then what else do they say? So Gluhar was talking about Zerachi, the sniper that we saw the little teaser for, and they were basically saying like, oh well, if Zerachi's there, that means the Lightkeeper's returned, which is sort of an implication that the Lightkeeper's coming if Zerachi's in. We don't actually know if he's going to be in the patch or not. We just assume so because he got teased. He doesn't necessarily have to be in. It would be weird if he isn't, but been here before.
Right.
Yeah, it would feel weird, because I mean, like, what's the point of having Zerachi there to defend nothing? Like, what is he? What is his purpose? Like, and then if you kill Zerachi, it's supposedly supposed to have some sort of rep, right, where he can, if you get to a certain point, he'll let you through because he knows you. Now I was thinking, right, because like, what was it? When there was this whole thing with the lighthouse Morse code thing. Way back, and they were saying like red scav, which was now we know is Ryzhy. I was thinking like maybe there's some sort of thing where if you're a scav or something, they'll let you through. But I guess now maybe not. Then I don't know. But that was my thought before I saw this today, I suppose. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, they I don't know if there's like separate rep for the boss, compared to the Lightkeeper. And I guess we'll just have to see, I suppose, because it's totally new, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I almost feel like they said, oh well, if Zerachi's there, it means they've sort of like linked these things together and said, well, if he's there, then the trader's there. We may start the wipe without him, though. I mean, it's something that they could potentially add like partway through. I don't know whether he'll be there right at the beginning. I'm not sure. I think it's a distinct possibility, because if Zerachi's there, it means Lightkeeper's there. But what if Zerachi just doesn't appear at all? Like he's not even in it yet. We got Streets Part 1, but they haven't actually added him. I think it's feasible. Yeah. I think it's feasible that he isn't there to begin with, and then when he does, then they both get added at the same time. That makes sense, because then he's not there guarding nothing.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean, I hope he's in. I really hope he's in, especially with all of these, the picture, the teaser trailer, the fact that he's in Ryzhy Part 5. I mean, I hope he's in. But
it would be kind of weird if he wasn't, right? Yeah, I mean,
that's how I feel. Yeah.
Also, another thing is like, wouldn't he be if he is in? Surely he'd be in the whole time, right? Isn't he the only boss that will be there 100% of the time?
Yeah. Well,
like 100% spawn, or is
I don't know.
That's a good question, actually.
Like,
I'm not sure.
You think he'd be there all the time, right? So then,
yeah.
Unless Lightkeeper's not there all the time, then that makes things a whole lot harder. My God. Yeah,
Lightkeeper with a 10% spawn rate. No.
Well, I can't do my quest now. I've just bought in all this stuff to trade with him, and now I've died because he's not there.
Let me change subjects and ask you about that, because we've theorycrafted about like Lightkeeper and how it might work. So, like, how do you think he's gonna work, or what's your expectations?
I mean, I imagine they've made some sort of UI with him. So, like, you go up to him, and I mean, it could just be the same UI, but they've just got rid of the background, and the background is kind of the game, and then it loads up, and you can kind of like trade things and whatever. That's what I would think. But yeah, I mean, doesn't he also trade in like military electronics and stuff like that? I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah, because there was an event they did where it was kind of lore based. Like Lightkeeper was extorting all the traders, I guess, or there was like electronics. I think that's a little different, but traders were like accepting electronics, like GPUs for slicks and things like that.
That's right. Yeah. I was thinking as well. Is it him giving you electronics, or does he accept electronics for something else? That's not something I've really understood. Like, does he give you something in trade for your electronics that you have, or does he give you the electronics? But then, what use do the electronics then have? Like, maybe there's more use to them if he's going to trade only those. I don't know. There's so many like things.
It could be either way. I guess it could be barters going both ways. I always assumed that it was going to be you would give him electronics and then he'd give you like an RPG. That was the way I had it going in my head.
Yeah, because in my brain he supplies like explosives, right? Because that was when he was gonna give like mines or what is it? Just general explosves. So I guess maybe then you have the electronics and you give him those for an RPG. Why not?
That's what I thought.
Okay.
Because I think there was supposed to be. I don't know whether this. I actually can't. This is the thing. It gets so crazy because I can't remember then what's speculation and what's not. But I believe that there was supposed to be mechanics for defeating the BTR on streets at some point. Now we're not going to get that yet, right? We're not going to get the vehicles because Nikita said that it was not coming in the first iteration. But at some point it'll be there, and it'll be interesting to see if he has the tools for the job for defeating the BTR, and if there's actually any point doing it, if there's something interesting in there, if there's something cool there. I don't know, we'll see. But these things they're all kind of interrelated. And this is the thing for me, the Lightkeeper and his trading has always been related to streets in my mind because of that. There's like stuff on streets that you need his things to do, and that's how you start building up the open world, and the reason for the open world. It's like to go to a place, to go get the thing, to then come back, to then go to streets, to go and do another thing. It's like you start to develop these player-driven stories where people go and do or player-driven quests where they go and do their own stuff. And me and Church have talked about this a lot because Tarkov's very structured in that sense, in that the game tells you what you need to do, whereas other games like Rust are very unstructured and you kind of just do whatever you want. And the guys at BSG are presumably slowly trying to bring in those more unstructured elements into Tarkov itself. I mean, that type of gameplay comes through normally when you play hardcore because you're having to go out and search for everything. So you need to go and search and find everything that you're going to use. But because we have the trader system, that kind of bypasses all of that and means that you don't need to. So it'd be great if some of those elements end up coming in with the Lightkeeper and streets. It's like stuff that you can't buy that you need to go to him to get if you want to go and do the cool things on streets. That kind of thing, and that's where I'm hoping it goes.
Yeah, yeah. It's such. I'm trying to sort of make sense of all of it. It's just so much to think about, and I mean, I'd love to sort of speculate, but at the same time, I guess we just don't know. We just have to sort of see, right? It's just one of those things. I mean, either way, I'm excited though. Like it's something totally new, and I think having the in-raid trader means that they have the means and the ways to put other traders into game as well. So then it just means like, when will they be in? I think isn't therapist supposed to be in streets? I think. I mean, that would make sense to me, considering you start in streets, you have the therapist to kind of heal yourself for the start.
I think so. That's correct. I think you're right.
Okay, so I mean that could be, interesting to sort of see how fast they get those out. Then after they put in Lightkeeper, and then see how that works. Any bugs? No. Okay, right. Let's get these out. That could be kind of cool.
Yeah, because I'd kind of forgotten that they decided, because I think originally they wanted to have them all in raid, and then I think they backtracked on it, and then eventually they said, actually, maybe we are going to put a few more people back in. Because I was rewatching one of the Nice Guy videos, and he reminded me in that, saying, oh, actually, they do want to put most, if not all, the traders in raid at some point, and it seemed quite far off in the distance. But with this, maybe it's going to come sooner than we think, and that will reshape the game, honestly. That will reshape the game so much, doing it that way around, because again, we've talked about it a billion times, but like the traders are so there's just such a fundamental issue within the way that the game is played, and like just the structure of the game. Like they're important for progression, but it's kind of too safe to have access to all that equipment just in your hideout. You've just got it all on that Amazon Prime, next day instant delivery, right? It's just like order all these M4s and all the good rounds or whatever. It's too much. So in raid it's gonna be cool. We're gonna have to see.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fascinating though. I'm looking forward to it. Then
the
we
arena.
had the last bit. Yes, the arena. So presumably now there's no spoilers because everybody went and watched Ryzhy Part 5 when I said so. They open the trunk and they say, "Welcome to Arena, Snowflake." So presumably Ryzhy is now an arena gladiator, which is pretty funny.
Wait, was it Ryzhy that walked off, or was it Chepushila that walked off and then got bonked on the head?
I thought it was Ryzhy, wasn't it?
I thought it was Ryzhy.
I'm not sure.
Because he has the thing on.
Like Ryzhy's got the balaclava on. Unless I need to watch that again, probably. Then I must have mistaken, because I thought, who is it? Oh no. It was Chepushila that stayed there because he got the SVD from Gluhar, and he was like, look at this thing. So I guess then he stayed with Gluhar or something. Anyway, that's mad though. It's crazy.
Yeah, because Ryzhy walks off, and then the garage opens, which you look out the garage, and I presume that was streets, because they were like in labs, and then now they're leaving labs and streets. We know labs and streets is connected. It's like, oh, that's cool. And then he gets knocked out, and then the credits, and then he's in the trunk, and then he's a snowflake.
Yeah, so he's got the balaclava on, and he's got the idea rig on. So I'm pretty sure it's Ryzhy.
Is it? Okay, that's fine. Just
again, another cool little detail, which I think we kind of knew. We know this anyway, but he opens it up, and the background is Terminal, which we know is where the arena is going to be. But it's there's a big ship in the dock and stuff like that. Like I just love the attention to detail.
Yeah, it's great.
They get the backgrounds and backings right. Like it's so good.
I need to get up now. Hold on. Just to kind of like just look at the end, because I've not quite seen all of it. Well, I've seen all of it, but like once.
Yeah.
I
think I've seen it twice now, but then I think I watched someone else's video on it as well, so I was just like, oh, okay.
There it is. Yeah, huge, tankers and stuff. Okay, cool. Well, obviously that's not real to Tarkov, but it's a real life thing. But okay,
it's their interpretation of the bit that you see away from shoreline behind all of the barracades.
That's exciting.
Presumably. Well, somewhere around there, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, and what's it called? What's that extract? It's like a string of letters. I don't know. Yeah, like around that kind of area.
Oh yeah. It's not
the extract that no one ever uses.
Yeah, isn't it only like a scav extract? I think.
Well, it used to be an extract, a conditional one,
right.
But I think they removed it. It was like,
can't you?
CCP.
Yeah, CCP temporary. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah. Thanks, chat.
Because now if I'm not mistaken, now it's the train railroad.
Oh, it's called Railway Bridge now.
Yeah, because they moved it a little further down.
Yes, you're right. Because I was like, I could swear that there was still one there, but no, you're right. CCP temporary was the old one. So so it's around there somewhere. I don't know. it's gonna be interesting because like Terminal's its own map and it's supposed to be the end map, but then if Arena's around there somewhere too, I don't know.
Is it the end map? Well, I guess because then that's where you escape from, right?
Yeah,
you think
the
Terminal and you escape Tarkov.
Yeah.
That's okay. That
Yeah,
makes sense.
because Streets is supposed to be map 1 and then Terminal's supposed to be the end map. And it also makes sense as well based on just kind of like the progression through, because Streets is like all the way up in the north, and then it's like interchange, customs with woods off it, factory inside it, the lighthouse to the west, reserve below it, shoreline below reserve, and then Terminal off in the corner of shoreline. It's like it kind of works that way.
Cool. All right.
Which is kind of neat. I love the like in-map lore stuff. I'm just like a big nerd for that.
Yeah. I actually I think I was talking about it on stream. I think like yesterday or no, yesterday. Like trying to sort of, because I saw a map and I was trying to find it again just to kind of like go through it because I was just so kind of like caught up in all of it. But wouldn't that mean, because I know that Skier is like the guy that sort of does all the kind of this not customs, but like the sort of the terminal stuff. Like he's kind of the guy for that. So wouldn't he then be the end trader, like the end game trader kind of thing?
Maybe.
Like, you know, because you like as a sort of an RPG style kind of game, you go through the maps and then you meet new traders that give you new quests, and then you once you go through to like the next map, and then you do quests there, and you meet another trader that gives you more quests, all that stuff. I guess maybe then Skier would be that guy that's the end, which is weird because I feel like Skier is kind of like an early game kind of guy. I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, he could be. It depends on what order you meet them and how fast it is, because you could go from Streets with Therapist to Interchange, I guess, is for Ragman, and then who's in Customs got factory inside it, and that's Mechanic, I suppose, because Mechanic's factory.
Right.
Oh yeah, true.
But you could always, I guess, you could like end up going to Terminal, meeting Skier, but not be allowed in or something. Be like you can trade with him, and then move across back up to like the main bit of shoreline where Peacekeeper is, and then
probably Prapor. I want to say is Customs, right?
Well, I think
I don't know.
Originally, I don't know what it is now because they changed town, but Prapor used to be in town. I think it was Prapor.
Yeah.
Oh,
but that's going to be DLC now.
And Skier was Customs.
Huh. Okay.
But I don't know who was in Terminal because you got Peacekeeper and Shoreline. Is anyone even on Lighthouse? Oh, that would be the trader now.
Yeah, the Lightkeeper trader. Yeah.
I don't know. So I don't know because like in theory they could change anything because like obviously they're going to have to put Prapor somewhere now outside of town because I'm not even sure.
Woods would be Jaeger, wouldn't it as well, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So I don't know.
In fairness, it does say Customs District still for Skier. So maybe he's just going to be in Customs.
Oh, okay. Ah, all right.
But he is he's previously a Port Zone Customs Terminal employee.
Oh,
so he deals with the terminal. But I mean, the thing is, right? The railroad extract that we were just talking about goes on the other side of the river, right?
Yeah,
and goes up shoreline, outside of the map of shoreline, and then goes through Customs and past Big Red. Like that rail track is the same rail track, so it makes sense. Because that means that Skier in Customs is like directly linked to the terminal, bypassing shoreline because the track doesn't even run through shoreline.
Yeah, I've just got because cool. I bookmarked the map that I found, and I've that's right then. Yeah, and then obviously through like just north the Big Red is actually interchange, right? And then okay.
Yeah.
Huh.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. All right. Cool. That's funny.
Neat. It's neat. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, Arena. Gonna play it.
Yeah.
No expectations. No. I mean, I really don't know what it's gonna be like. So,
are you excited?
I'm looking forward to it.
For Arena, Hayes? Are you excited?
Yeah. I think it'll be good to kind of, I suppose, like practice your kind of your mechanics and all that stuff. Sure. You know, if you're a proper sort of try hard like labs kind of guy, you know, you can do all that if you want, right? And I mean, it might be like a sort of a good time filler. Maybe, I don't know, if you want to sort of warm up in there as well, like, you know, because I'm not a massive fan of like going into a big PMC raid when I've just gotten on, my hands are cold. I'm like, oh god, I'm gonna miss all my shots.
Yeah.
So I mean, it could be like a good thing to sort of go in there. And I mean, I'm not sure what kind of rewards they'll have because I know that it's gonna be somehow linked with Tarkov, the main game. I'm not sure if they'll do rewards. So if you do well in Arena, you might get a few things in in sort of the Tarkov main game. So maybe that could kind of play into it, where people kind of want to do their, I don't know, maybe their dailies to then get some sort of, I don't know, no idea. Yeah, it's interesting though. I'm definitely excited about it because, you know, it gives the sort of the super tryhard kind of people something to sort of go into and kind of like let loose. And then I guess maybe it'll kind of give the I said the casual players or the people that don't play as much some time in the main game to kind of do their thing and, you know, and not be you know, stomped by you know, massive chads. I don't know. Maybe I'm speculating now, really, but yeah, it's that makes sense to me anyway in my brain.
Yeah, we're gonna have to see. I think it's interesting you say about, you know, being able to warm up and stuff, because like I used to do that on Factory with Scav before Scav Karma, and it was a really good way to begin. Right, you get on and you do a Scav raid on Factory, and it's just a complete bedlam free for all, and you get to, you know, try a bit of shooting. But you can't do that anymore because you have to be really careful. You don't upset fence. So it's like where'd you go to practice other than maybe do an offline horde raid or something? It's not really much you can do. I mean, you can do that in theory, but yeah, it's going to be cool. I also think it's going to help new players too, just because when you're first starting, you don't really get to actually shoot very much because you just die over and over again, and you don't know where from, and you don't know what's going on, and you don't know the maps. Whereas Arena at least will give people more time. It'll be more closer towards the sort of Counter-Strike deathmatch. You know, you respawn every 30 seconds and you get to just have a go every time, and it doesn't really matter. You know, some people maybe can treat it like that and get used to the mechanics and stuff without having to risk a kit every time and spend 10 minutes putting together the thing and then loading for 5 minutes, and then they get in and then it's just like doink, BP to the head, you know, as soon as you step through one doorway. So
pain.
I think it will be good for those people actually.
Yeah, I do think that they could take it even further and just go like, I don't know. I'm thinking of like Tarkov, but competitive Call of Duty modes like capture the flag and search and destroy and stuff like that. That could be huge. I don't know. I'm just kind of thinking like out the box here, like, you know, huge competitive leagues, like teams, full on strategy. Like I don't know. Because I've got experience with like, you know, competitive Call of Duty and competing all that stuff. My favorite game mode was search and destroy and capture the flag. It's just like it's that competitive sort of game mode, but in the world of Tarkov, but optimized, you know, with good servers. What I say, good, it'd be the same servers, but because they, you know, there's less in the game, it should be better. Technically, I think. Anyway, we'll see. But yeah, that could be something really cool. I don't know if they want to take it that far in terms of like esports, kind of, you know, that kind of stuff. But since it feels like they're sort of making a separate kind of game in a way that links to Tarkov, is Tarkov, but isn't. And I think that's maybe what they want to do, is like just make it kind of their esports mode, which could be really cool and really enticing for a lot of people. Yeah, because I think the world's kind of missing that kind of like a new kind of like really kind of hyper sort of competitive like shooter, like team shooter.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's like it's coming from such a different, like the recent one again is Valorant, right? It's like the new one, but it's coming from such a different angle, Tarkov, because it's so like Valorant's like so pure and so esports. You know what I mean? It's like no wiggle on crosshair, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's like it's so pristine. Tarkov's like the other way, like and Tarkov's like, it's like kind of like so dirty, so kind of like the guns, you know, they've got the sweat, like there's sway, there's holding breath, there's running out of stamina, like all sorts of, it's like it's weird because it's sort of going to be a strange mishmash of like mil sim type mechanics in an arena shooter, which, I mean, has anybody really done that? Like, not properly.
I don't think so.
With them as you said, like they're building this separate game, right? They're able to build the networking from the ground up again, which is awesome.
Yeah, no, I feel like with that, like I feel like BSG have kind of always done the sort of the, not the unexpected, like the game modes that aren't really anywhere else. Like they kind of always innovating and I suppose technically we've had competitive shooters, but like in a different, like this is like a whole different way. So I don't know. I feel like BSG is always kind of innovating and want to do something different, you know, away from the sort of the monotony of the same recycled game modes, all that stuff. I just that's what I love about BSG is that they just do what they want, which is great. Yeah,
they have good ideas. In fairness, right? Like nobody else has managed to. We've had so many different companies try now, and we've had DMZ as well, which is probably the closest that we've seen to a polished AAA kind of equivalent. But I mean, it's just nobody is able to capture, and it's not easy, right? For all of the crap that people give Tarkov, like it's very difficult to capture the level of complexity and depth and feeling and fear, worry. Just sheer pain sometimes, right? And it's not easy to capture that. You could replicate a lot of things about the game and try and rebuild it yourself, and it would just suck and not be appealing and not draw people in, right? There's there's lots of ways that could happen. It's like threads this very fine line, and part of it's luck too, right? It's just like loads of people try to make lots of different games, and this one's stuck because the formula is just so happens to work. Like there's a lot of gaming is like that, right? It's like certain games just take off because they are just really good. And there's something there that they've just the people have struck upon, and the guys at BSG have done that. So yeah, it's going to be fascinating to see the arena stuff. But it will be cool to have somewhere that's got leaderboards, that's got kind of like rankings and that kind of thing, which they've said is never going to be in Tarkov. But because rather than having to tread a halfway house and try and appease two groups of people, now we can split it out and say, right, here's the hardcore survival style shooter. Here's the arena-based shooter with all the gunplay from EFT. We can do the best of both in each separately. We can have some crossover, but just go and have fun and do what you want to do. And I think that's awesome. I think it's honestly the best way to go, because otherwise you just end up with a sort of halfway compromise where the casuals are complaining about the chads complaining about the casuals, and this way you get to do what people want in each game mode without compromising it.
Yeah, for sure. I think going back to the where BSG kind of I've lost my train of thought. Oh no, this happens a lot.
It's the streamer life, the short-term memory just gets obliterated. It really is bad.
It's fine.
And you've been at it for many years, so
my brain's fried, trust me. What was I saying? No, it's fine. Carry on. It's all right.
All right, I'm sure you remember in a second.
I probably will.
It's always that way. Was there anything else in the trailer? I feel like it's one of those things where you almost want to go back through frame by frame, what's in the background, have they teased it? Is there a new gun in the background, that kind of thing? But that's everything that I've taken from it.
Yeah, I'm looking now actually. I'm going through it now. Yeah, I don't know.
Unless there was some, hidden message within the background of the credits, I don't know.
Oh yeah, God.
I can't really think of anything. I think we could hit all the high points as far as I know. I mean, I feel like the whole I don't know. I mean, I don't want to read into too much to it, but as I said earlier, when that garage door opened and Ryzhy walked out, and it's looks, you see buildings, oh, that's streets. They're hinting at streets. I still don't know. I feel like everything is not certain. Last patch, I think we were supposed to get Lightkeeper. They were teasing it. It's oh, Lightkeeper's coming, and then it's didn't happen. And so are they gonna do it dirty again? Here's Zarachi, or here's Sriracha.
Sriracha. Oh my God.
Tease Sriracha, tease streets, tease arena, drop the patch. There's nothing in it.
I mean, surely it will be streets at the bare minimum.
I think so.
Yeah, I can't see them. Yeah, I can't see them teasing everything and then just saying, actually no, maybe not. It just doesn't seem right. I mean, but then again, BSG have done it before. I'm just hoping that they just don't, they learn from their mistakes and don't do it again. But they've done it quite a few times already. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, this is the thing. I think everybody's just kind of skeptical on that. Everyone's hoping, but not, high on the copium like we were previously. Because I've definitely been there, just oh, this is gonna be sick. But I think just feeling a lot more reserved about it now. And if things don't come, then okay. I'm just kind of cool with it. I've made my peace with it. I think that's the thing. And I think you just have to accept it.
Yeah, when Nikita tweeted that Streets is looking about August time, and I was like, oh, what was it? No, start of autumn or something like that. I was like, I was frantically searching, when does autumn start? I was like, oh shit, it's then. Oh, okay, let's go. And yeah, nothing. I was just why did he tweet that then? Surely I'm pretty sure they hate doing deadlines, right? Because
Yeah.
like, even roadmaps, because things happen and development issues happen and things come up, like the wars in Ukraine and just random stuff like this. Yeah, not that it's random, but anyway, it's just like it boggles my mind that he tweeted that. I'm just like, why? Why did you tweet that? Why? I don't get it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's the same kind of philosophy now for the Streets thing, right? Like that's the trail of thought. He said Streets is coming this year, and he said that at the end of November. It's like,
Right.
Wait,
why would you say that if it wasn't going to come, right? That's like 6 weeks away from when he said it or something. Like, surely that's confirmation.
Maybe
Like,
that's
think
like
it would be
more of a message to his team. They just did an open an open format. He's like, Streets is coming this year. Looking at you, map developers.
chop, let's go.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Well, what I found funny is that like what was it? There was it a podcast at some point, or I forget. No, it was I think like a Q&A with Pestily. I think he did like just recently.
Yeah.
And what I found not funny, it was kind of interesting, is that he didn't really know what everyone was doing or where the progress was in certain points. And I think that just speaks volumes in terms of how big their team has gotten. Since I think Nikki is he's got the ideas, he's taken kind of a back step and just kind of letting them do their thing, and just kind of like I guess consulting and helping out where he can, and just being the main guy, right? So I just found that really interesting to sort of realize that he doesn't really, he doesn't know everything, and he doesn't know all the things, like Dimitri's doing something over there. I don't know what he's doing, but he's doing something. It's good work. It's like that's what it feels like to me now, which is kind of interesting. I feel like a change from the past. Not that I'm not a vet. I guess, would you call me a veteran of Tarkov now? I don't know. In your opinion, maybe.
I think so at this point. I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, like it just seems like a change from back in the day. Like when I first started, it's just it's different. It feels like.
I think he said that, didn't he? In the thing, he was like, I basically built all the customs. I know everything about customs, whatever. Yeah. It's like I don't know everything about Streets. The law and the law team are just like going off on this Ryzhy thing, and I don't know how it's going to end. Like if they go completely rogue, then I'll stop them. But like,
yeah. I can imagine Nikita just like seeing it for the first time when it comes out, and he's like, "Oh, new Ryzhy pat," and like new Ryzzy episode, nice. Just sits down and like with his cup of tea or something like that. I can imagine him just doing that. We're like, "Oh, nice, good work, guys."
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. In some ways, it's probably for the best. He's had a lot of control for a long time, and it's his overarching vision that's being implemented. But sometimes that's better not to be micromanaged. And the company's so big now that maybe it's for the best that people are sort of doing it kind of on their own. Like they're implementing his stuff without necessarily him having to tell everybody explicitly what to do. So yeah, I don't know. We'll see. It's very hard to sort of judge how it goes internally within BSG, but we don't get to see enough of what happens there. But yeah, they're obviously doing well enough. If they got the latest Ryzhy episode has got all devs in it, I think, right? It's like there aren't any actors at all. It's just all people from the company, which is pretty fun.
Yeah, it was a pretty convincing Gluhar too. I thought it was quite good. Yeah, I was like, okay, it looks pretty good. Like like I would be convinced that is Gluhar. It makes sense. That's kind of
mechanic was half decent last time. They need to get that dude Baron. What's he called? Like Baron de Savant on Twitter or whatever. They need to get him. They need to like draft him in to do like a load of scenes.
What is
the gunsmith guy that Jesse Kazam had on?
Oh,
that's the guy from like Brownells or whatever.
Brownells, that's the one.
Yeah, because he honestly, it's insane. Like he's literally the spitting image. It's crazy, and the fact that he's like a master gunsmith as well. It's like what? Like what are the chances? It's nuts.
That's funny.
I guess we could jump into a little more spicier of a topic. Secure container talk.
Yes.
It's been a while.
Yeah. Let me just refresh my brain real quick.
I know. I was just thinking, like, dang, I probably should have rewatched your video, because I think when I messaged you originally, it was like 4 or 5 months ago on Twitter.
Yeah.
And it's been so long.
Yeah, about that.
Yeah, and it's just like, I mean, recently it's just prepping for the wipe on content and trying to get all that squared away.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's really not. I wouldn't say it's a debate per se because I'm kind of like a pro container change advocate. I'm not like. I've definitely loosened my opinion of it now. But I guess if you could just kind of like, I guess restate, what's kind of your take on the whole thing? You know what I mean? Because you said you made earlier, you're like, I made like this grand sweeping statement about containers. Like, what's kind of your in-depth thing about what's the sitch?
Yeah. So I mean, in short, it's kind of just I feel like containers, they how they work now is it kind of ruins the game in a way in terms of like it could be so much more intense and so much more emotion filled, right? Because like if you put something in your container, then that's someone else can't have that, and then they can't find it on your body, right? Or you can't lose it. So you don't have that. I mean, you do lose the founder rage status if you die, but I mean, it's it doesn't really matter too much. So I'm just thinking in terms of like making the game more sort of intense and just enhancing what we already have in a way. So for those that are listening, I suppose I want BSG to sort of lock the containers completely. So like lock them in raid. You can put things into them during your when you gear up and stuff like that. Put things into them, take things out, whatever. But I suppose in raid, what you could do is take things out, but then you can't put them back in. Like that's that, right? Or maybe they're tagged with something where you can things that are originally in there, you can take out and put back in. Anything else that's anywhere else that's not been in your container at the start of the raid, just kind of it can't go in there, right? And I think in my sense, in my sort of brain, it makes sense to where it'll help the casual players as well. Like that's been a big argument is it'll punish the casual players because we can't get our items or we can't get a bit of cash, to kind of supplement our deaths, because we've just died like 5 times in a row and we can't supplement our cash. And I mean, that makes sense, right? But I do feel like it kind of balances out. Like you would kill other players that will have things that they can't put in their container, and then you take that and you extract with it. So I feel like over time that'll just balance out to where you lose things, but then you also gain things. So like it kind of it comes about a roundabout sort of thing. Is that the right way of saying it? I don't know. Anyway, that's my kind of take on it. There's a lot of other kind of, I guess, ideas that my brain's kind of forgotten now, but that's the kind of the basic of it. Is the basis is that it'll help more than it'll hinder, I feel like, and also make Tarkov a much more fulfilling game.
Yeah, and like when you say it makes it more intense. It makes it more intense on both sides of the spectrum. If you're the guy that's like winning per se, you win more. If you're a guy that's losing per se, you like lose more than previously. Which is like, I wouldn't say it's like a good or bad thing. It's just kind of like the product of that, making it more intense does mean that the punishment's more intense, but the reward is also more intense. So like, I definitely like think that's kind of a neutral thing. What was I gonna say? Because you brought up a point.
You've done to me now.
Yeah. You're contagious. Oh, I can't remember. But so that's kind of like the common thing, right? Is like, because I've seen like Clean talk about this, like locking the secure container. Yeah. And it's kind of weird too, because like now that they've done so many changes around the container, like you can't put mags in there anymore, which like, don't get me wrong, was super cheesy and really annoying. Yeah. But now that you can't do that, you can't, when you're doing the ice cream cones quest, when you find that 60 round mag, you can't put it in the container, which is like, you know what I mean? But I guess it doesn't really matter because they gotta be found in raid, but you could use it for like the gunsmith and you got like found in raid.
Yeah.
It's just like, the whole system's weird with found in raid because you brought that up too. And like,
it's go ahead. It's a weird one because like I feel like, I mean, they've made mistakes in terms of like bringing in all these kind of these convoluted kind of bandage mechanics that kind of hide the original issue. I'm not even sure what the original issue is now, because they've just kind of laid all the bandages and just oh, it's fine, just put a rug over the mess. With found and raid and all that
stuff. No, it's RMT. No, it's cheaters. No, it's
yeah, I don't know. It's just it's hard to know at this point, but yeah, I just feel like there's so many bandage mechanics now that it's just I think if they do that, if they lock the containers, which I don't think it will. I'd love them to, but I don't think it will. Because they'll just get so much backlash through people just not really understanding the reason or why, and just kind of reading on Twitter or on Reddit. But yeah, if they did do that, I imagine they probably would get rid of like found and raid and all that stuff, and it would simplify the game, honestly, as well, in a way. Like, I just feel like it makes sense. Like the secure containers are secure. Like you don't open them. Like I don't know. It just makes much more sense to me.
Yeah, you're quite right. Because without the container being able to put stuff inside it, right? Finding raid doesn't really mean anything. The only thing it means is if you kill PMCs. That's the only thing, right? It's like killing other players, not having finding raid status, I suppose.
The one counter argument would be quest, because like previously I've heard it pitched a couple different ways. Like you said, it was hatchling, it was questing, it was RMT, it was cheaters, because like it kind of does deal with those things in various different ways. Cheaters not so much, but anyways, the people will use that. Like in the old days, you could just buy your way through the quests, right? I mean, you guys remember this. You buy a LEDX off the flea market, you turn it in. Now it's gonna be found in raid, which means you have to survive with it, but it's like sort of fixed it, but not really, because you could, in theory, just get all the items to craft the LEDX through the container and then craft it that way. Or you could just buy the items at the flea market to
craft. Yeah.
Which it's like this weird, like we talked about 4 gig. It's like you send it through the laundromat, you're washing dirty money, dirty items into like magically found and trade items. It's like some witchcraft. It's weird, right? Because like I don't know. It's just, I think they should change, if they're not gonna like lock the container. Like, to me, it makes sense to make the crafting stuff found in raid only, because it's just weird that you can buy items off the fleet. Another classic example is for early wipe is Salewas, right? It makes 0 sense to put the Salewa in your container that you found in the raid, unless you want to like use it as like, because it's like a good med. But for doing the quest for Salewas, it doesn't really make sense, right? But you can put in like hemostat and what's the Salewa craft? You can put the items to craft the Salewa in the container.
Yeah.
Oh, a car kit, and then
yeah. And then it's like it's like a roundabout way of like getting around the found and raid quest stuff through the container. Like, it's just it's weird,
You're bringing like a quarter of a Salewa out.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, implicitly, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But like which I don't know how like reasonable or like good or viable it is, but it's just like these weird niche cases where it feels like the changes they made were like a half measure. It's like they didn't really address all the problems, or I don't or the right problem. I don't know, but
But again, it's the same thing, right? It's like some of the old problems have gone, but the solutions are still in place. I think that's definitely something that BSG are guilty of, not going back and revisiting why some of these things were originally put in and why they may no longer necessarily be valid, and to rechange the system. Like, they only ever layer on top. Sometimes we need to scrub away certain things that don't make sense anymore. We definitely have a syndrome of that within the game, for sure.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, the Veritas's like flowchart of finding raid is the thing for that. I don't have it to hand, but I'm sure if people look around on the internet for it. Have you ever seen it, Hayes?
I don't think I have, actually. No.
Oh, it's hilarious.
I mean, I probably would have done like maybe. I'm not sure.
Probably at some point. Let me just see if I can find it. Let me just see. But it's like it's like how it's just the small number of how such a small number of things that you do are actually in raid to do fine in raid. It's like it's all the other stuff. It's like a big flowchart of whether something's fine in raid or not. And it's like, did you find it in raid? Yes. Did it come from a PMC? No. Okay, well then it's not fine in raid. Did you craft it in the hideout? Oh, well then it's fine in raid. Did you get it from a quest reward? Yes, then it's fine in raid. Okay, great. It's just like all of those things.
Oh,
like so many.
Yeah.
It's like
it's like a sort of a
like
chart.
A big flow chart.
Yeah.
It's crazy, right? And it's like 6 of the outcomes are not in raid at all, and one of them is in raid with a load of stipulations. It's like it's really insane, and it's basically just like misnamed, right? It's like it shouldn't be called fine in raid because it doesn't make any sense. Like especially for a new player, you come in, you kill a PMC in raid, you pick up his stuff in raid, but that's not fine in raid. But you craft something in the hideout completely out of raid, and that is fine in raid, right? It doesn't make any sense. It should be called something else. Just call it something else. Like it's fine. It's fine as a mechanic, right? It's okay. I never really liked the implementation of fine in raid, but like it does do what it's supposed to do, as Church says. Like it is. You may not necessarily like the implementation, but its effect is broadly positive. It doesn't fix everything, but it's better than it was before.
It's definitely better than people hatchet running Shoreline. Like those days, like God, dude, those days were just not
and then
fun.
nading themselves, yeah.
Well, you just like disconnected, which was like even worse.
Or disconnect, yeah.
So like, yeah, I'm glad it's not like that anymore. I don't know. I'm like, yeah, go ahead.
No, I've not really ever. Well, I kind of joined in the era of hatchet run sort of towards the end of it, I suppose, in a sense, and like it was really bad. Like on reserve and drop down room, you just see about 3 guys just like running towards it, like, oh my God, dude. But yeah, I've not really seen any now. Like it's mostly sort of pistol runners, but I don't think they're going for loot, more so for maybe just like a cheeky little one-tap on a guy, get some gear, sort of 0 to hero kind of style. Yeah, I've not seen any hatchet runners anymore, which is nice. I mean, I think someone mentioned in the chat, but about the tagged and cursed sort of thing, which I think is ridiculous now. Like
it needs to be.
Why? Like it's just get rid of it now. Like it's kind of it's over and done with. So, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Exactly. That's one of those things where it's like that was put in place back then. I do wonder whether, because when we started playing, there were these locations. It was before dynamic loot was put in and all that stuff where, and also even just some of those top end items have kind of just come down in value. Like there was a few specific items in the game that were incredibly valuable, and that's still the case now, but now they're not in very specific spawn points. You can't just run to them quite as easily as you used to be able to. So it's really made the hatchet running thing so much less valuable. Like the way that people mostly get money now or make money is you strap a scav backpack on yourself and then you grab 10k to 20k item per slot items and then just sell them all on the flea, right? That's the new meta of making fat cash. And you run around stashes where there's like no one else and you just scuttle about. And so it's just like all those things combined have stopped people from hatchet running because it's just not the most efficient thing to do anymore to make a ton of cash. And so yeah, some of these things are a bit outdated. But I don't know, like I've never been on the secure container, like anti-secure container cult following group quite as strongly as Church has been for I mean there was one point on this podcast, seriously, it must be like 15 episodes in a row where we talked about secure container at least once. Like every single week, and it was nuts. It almost became its own like in joke at one stage.
Yeah,
but I am still on team lock the container personally, and I know that people complain about the not being able to get the loot out or whatever, but typically it's not I just don't think it's a big enough income source for new players to really worry about, right? It's like for me, the safety net, the social safety net for new players is the scav run.
Oh yeah,
and that doesn't have a container anyway, so being able to stick 2 or 3 items inside your secure container is probably not going to make that much difference, right? If you're a player that's really struggling, you're not going to be running to the high value loot spots anyway. Maybe it's a bit annoying for certain quest items or things to hide out or whatever, but everybody has to deal with that, and you will get them eventually. It just takes time. But I just don't think it moves the needle enough compared to doing like you can play for free every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure if that argument is valid enough. Like, yeah, it hits those people a bit for sure, but I'm not sure if it's valid enough for all of the ills that it brings, if that makes sense. Like, I'm a lock the container proponent as well. To be fair.
Go on. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna say,
that's it.
I definitely feel like the container favors more the min-maxer than your average player, I would say, because I mean Giga doesn't even do this. I don't know about you guys, but like if rubles per slot, man, like if I got X item, a CMS kit, and I have an item that's worth more than the CMS kit, I'm switching the CMS kit for the item in the container, like every time. Like it's just like a no-brainer to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's actually kind of just like a natural thing now. I don't even think about it. It's just like, okay, you know what? So this is a big item like a Tetris. Okay, that's more than a CMS, same slots.
Right.
Yeah, switch it out. You know, why not? Yeah, no, I mean, going back to the like why like casual players would sort of I guess it would benefit them more, I suppose, in a way, is also like, you know, when Chads go for, you know, when they spawn in, they run to the high elite spots, right? The high elite spots. They're gonna have probably better skills than your, you know, your 2 hours a night kind of guy, like who, you know, plays, you know, maybe like twice a week, right? So they are never gonna get there faster than the Chad, like ever. So the Chad not being able to put the things in his container means you can just kind of like rock up to the same spot a bit later, catch him off guard, boom, that stuff now yours. Instead, now what you have is the Chad going in there, shoving all in his container, LEDX, GPU, whatever, and then you kill him and you get some bolts. Like, you know, I guess and the gear, I suppose, but like, that's what you get. So there is some merit to it as well. You know, you can get stuff from it. You know, even though you might not be able to extract with it or put it in your container, like you can, there is ways of getting it. And, you know, if you kill that guy, you know, can loot him and then just kind of, you're obviously, you know, sweating your balls off and you're trying to get out because you're nervous and stuff like that. But that's what Tarkov is. I love that. That's bring that emotion back, bring that kind of like, oh damn, I got this thing, I need to get out now. Like, you know, that's, I mean, it is in the early wipe kind of thing, right? That kind of happens. Some might feel it a bit less than others, you know, depends on your experience, but like I feel like that needs to come back a bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like early wipe, every raid matters, right? Because it's just like every item you basically need. You're like, oh, I need these screws, I need these bolts, I need this chlorine, I need alkali, I need, you know, what it's like, you just need every item because it's like, you need to build your hideout, all the quests in the future, blah, blah, blah. It's like loads of stuff.
Yeah, it's just hideout stuff, isn't it? Really, like that's the main thing that you'd put in your container. Really, that's all I can think of. Because most quest items now are found in a raid and whatever. So, yeah.
And to build off your point, Hayes, it's when you basically, like the way it works, the system works now, like first dibs wins essentially, because whether it's a bolt or a defibrillator or LEDX, when it's in your butt, that's effectively removed from the map. So you may need that item, but he's like removed it from the map, and it's almost like he's denied it from you. And like, but you still get something out of it because like you swapped your CMS kit for it. So like you're profiting, you know, X amount of rubles or whatever, or you could use it to craft if it's a crafting item. But like he doesn't get anything from that because he didn't get the lucky god spawn, you know.
That's it. Yeah. That's also another thing as well, is that like oh no, it's just gone again. I can't believe this.
First dibs.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, it was oh no, it was to do with what was the one before that you were talking about? It was like first dibs, and it was like
he needs the quest item, but it's in his butt, so it's taken off the map.
That's the one. Yeah. So when someone puts things in their container, they essentially that they've taken value out of, because I see the raid as like there's a total sort of ruble value of the raid when you spawn in, like including sort of players' gear and that stuff and the loot that spawns in there. When someone, you know, gets there first, puts something in their container, that value is now gone from the raid, even though they've done nothing to deserve that. You know what I mean? Like that value is now gone, so the value of the raid is now worse. I don't think that should be a thing. I think the value of the raid should decrease when someone actually gets out. They leave and they extract. That just makes total sense to me. Like, you've succeeded in extracting and escaping Tarkov, so then you get that stuff. Otherwise, no, you don't get that stuff because you haven't succeeded, right? That just makes sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like, a mechanic for secure container makes like it's necessary in a game like EFT because of things like keys and whatnot, right? It's like, and so it's nice to have for things for like, spare rounds or whatever that you get to keep. It's not super expensive between every single game. And people were cheesing it with mags and stuff like that. They're reloading out of the container, cycling them through their rig and stuff, and it was pretty crazy. But like, I do feel like we've probably got to an okay-ish point just by like a random combination of all of the changes that have happened. It's all right. It's all right now. The high tier loot thing is not as critical as it used to be. You don't need to go and farm a ton of GPUs and LEDXs. Those items typically are cheaper anyway on the flea these days because for various reasons. It's interesting. Because you don't really see people complaining so much about it now as you used to.
No,
either. It's like not as much of a hot topic as it once was, for sure. But I still think that it'd be good to have that. It's like, it's a nice thing. You can secure what you have in a limited amount, but yeah, you can't take value out of the raid that you haven't earned. I think that's a sensible philosophy.
Here's the kicker though, I think, is, which we talked about before, is Lightkeeper. This is my worst nightmare. Is people are just gonna do, like, they're gonna have the item. I mean, they could do it a million different ways, but one way is you trade an item with him to get something you want. So like, you could just do like crap runs. You don't have to be like hatchling, but you could just crap runs to the Lightkeeper with that one item to trade the container with him, and then it's like it feels like he's not really risking that much, and he's just like kind of grinding.
Good luck putting an RPG in your butt, Church. Good luck.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Well, right. I mean, that would be like when it actually works, but it's like, you know what I mean? It's like, it feels like it's a half measure. It's like step one is get to the Lightkeeper. He can do that infinite amount of times without losing that first step one. You know what I mean? Unless they do it where it's found in raid, you have to like find the item on Lighthouse and then bring it to him.
That would be cool.
And then trade it.
Actually, yeah, because it would have to be on Lighthouse, though, wouldn't it?
That's the part where I'm like,
that's a shame because it loses the status when you bring it back in the raid. That's actually a shame because that could be awesome, right? If it's like finding raid only barters, which we've talked about before, brings that element of risk and stuff back. But yeah, because of the system, it disappears on entry. So
you would have to find
doing it
on the map, which
doesn't make sense. So
doesn't make sense, but it's a video game, so at the end of the day, it's whatever.
Yeah. I don't think it makes sense, and I don't think it's good either. That's the kicker.
Kind of where I lie, because you're gonna have to you're gonna get an RNG roll for let's say you find a military cable, great. It has to be on that map. It has to be that raid. Now you have to change your plan, because now you have to go there and do it. Otherwise, you just take the loss of not being able to interact with the Lightkeeper. You can't pre-plan to go to the Lightkeeper, which I guess could be kind of cool. It could be spice it up. You get into a fight, scuffle, you plan to do X, Y, and Z over here on this side of the map. You found an item, oh my god, I can now go to the Lightkeeper and do a trade. If that's something you want to do, I guess that's kind of neat.
True. Yeah, I mean, it could change when they connect all the maps up, and I'm not sure how they'll do it. If you go to an extract, well, not an extract, but go to another map from another map,
right?
I don't know how that'll work. Do you have to load into a totally new raid? Then would that lose found a raid status? Or I don't know. Actually, that's something we'll I guess we'll see in the future.
Point.
Yeah, so I mean that could maybe fix that. If they don't lose found raid status, potentially. But
I never really considered that. I guess you could update the system so that finding raid. Well, okay, point number one, right? If all the traders are in raid and stuff, then you start to dissolve finding raid status. It kind of doesn't really mean anything. Secondly, if you were going to do that, I can imagine a quick fix is if you go back to the hideout, that's when the finding raid status disappears. If you go from one map directly to another map, it stays finding raid, something along those lines. The hideout is the threshold for triggering the removal of finding raid status from items, as you bring them back into raid after the hideout. then it disappears. If it goes into raid from another raid, then it stays fine in raid. That would work. Whether that status is even necessary though, once you go open world, I just don't know, because it's like, games like DayZ doesn't have fine in raid because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't even mean anything, right? It's like your base is in raid, so all the traders on the mods. Right. You're always in raid, so it doesn't matter. Like it's always the same. It's only because Tarkov has this like totally safe, secure hideout that it's necessary.
And like and a secure container, but I guess that really wouldn't matter in DayZ. It would just be really annoying. Like he just like removes stuff and respawns with it on him every time he dies.
Yeah,
it'd be weird.
Odd. Yeah, I don't know.
Like it would it could have it. DayZ could have a secure container. It would just change the game a little bit. You'd like have certain items in there, but I don't think it would fundamentally disrupt the core mechanics.
No,
in
my opinion. Yeah.
So I guess that's kind of like the interesting point is like, as the newer mechanics get added, how will the older system stack up?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the sort of the point of I just want to wait till full release to sort of see what actually happens, like to see how the game actually works, and then I can make my sort of assumptions. But at the same time, it's good to speculate, and it's also good to kind of, if they haven't thought of those things, then maybe it might prompt them to sort of I don't know, like in terms of feedback, maybe, I don't know, but
it's important to have the discussion. I got into like, I remember this was a couple of months ago, I got into like a really like down sort of spiral of just like, there's no point discussing anything. It's like, bitch is never going to hear this anyway or whatever. But it's like, it's one of those things where even if, they don't necessarily listen to you or your specific podcast or whatever, it's like important to like discuss these things generally, because there's like people talking about stuff and good ideas, and maybe somebody puts it on Reddit and it sort of just dissolves into the sort of the general consciousness of the Tarkov community, even in a small way, and people then raise that a couple of times and it starts to become something that people want to see or whatever. That's definitely can happen. So it's good. I managed to get out of my stuff. It was actually Jesse Kazam. He got me out of the big slump, because I think I can't remember which one he was talking about. I don't think it was Civilian Flea. I think it was something else that he was talking about, and maybe it was just about traders in general and the problems with the flea market. And I think it was why removing the flea market isn't the be all and end all. And it was a bit about the trader system and things that we've touched on previously. And I was like, no, this is important to talk about. It is important to discuss these things and air out all the thoughts and things. And I'd never thought about that before, about open world and what that means for finding raid. Never thought about that before. So
it's I mean, I don't know how they'll do it. Like people say that they're going to try and do open world, and I'm just like, I don't know about that one. Like, because someone said that they're gonna, obviously not an official source, but it might have been even Nice Guy, I'm not entirely sure, that said that they want to plan to do open world, like when you finish the game, then it becomes open world. But I'm like, well, then is that different servers? Are you separate to other people that play in the game? That just makes, I don't know, it doesn't really add up to me. So I don't think Tarkov needs open world. In a way, like as in like with all the maps like in one big map. I think just going from one map and then kind of transitioning into another instance of that map, but maybe like the cycle, if you guys have played that, where like it kind of you join an already happening raid or something, and the raid timers are just increased and loot spawns periodically when no one's around or something like that. I could see that being a thing, and I would actually enjoy that, where you kind of you spawn in, you don't really know where anyone is, you just kind of you don't know, the spawn's over there and there's a guy just probably spawning over that side. I can try and headshot him as he crosses over this angle or something. Like I would quite like that, the sort of the unexpected nature of it, and it would make it more intense as well. But we'll see.
Yeah, I agree with you. It'd be good. It's like a fundamental change. I just don't think they were going to do it. I mean, because I personally think they will have the system that we have now, but the maps. When people say open world, I always think it's going to be connected maps. I don't think, as you said, I don't think we'll have like all the maps just run seamlessly into each other. It'll be going from one raid to another, right? And it's like it's such a fundamental change of architecture to have like loot respawning and all this kind of stuff. But like, I mean, it would be good for the game, I think, because one of the spawn system. And the knowledge that you have from the spawn system is probably one of the weakest parts of EFT, actually, just from a conceptual point of view, because you're not supposed to know anything. It doesn't tell you when you get your kills. You don't have any of your teammates on your screen. But I know that one man is going to be here, 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 and here. And if I sit here, 50% of the time, he's going to come running across here, exactly as you said. It's like, it's one of the weakest elements of the game. Because that in particular is supposed to be such a strong point of Tarkov, having so much knowledge for that one specific area is very odd. It's quite it's very unimmersive actually.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the most unimmersive elements of the game, in my opinion.
That's true. Yep.
Okay. Well, I think we made it through that minefield.
that was a long one actually. God damn.
Touches on a lot of elements.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
A lot of elements. How do you guys think Streets is going to perform? I was like, that was a question that's phrased self-indulgently, so that I can give a very quick story about my PC upgrade, which I did this morning, which I was absolutely terrified about because I haven't upgraded a PC for probably about 4 years, because the last one, the machine I'm currently using, I got a pre-build because it was in the middle of the GPU crisis, and so I couldn't buy a 30 series card. I was just not able to buy any, and the only way I could get one is through a pre-build. So I got this machine, and it's basically just sat there doing its thing, completely like unopened. It's like an Egyptian tomb, just like totally untouched out of the shop. And like I've always built all my other PCs before, so like I can do it. It's fine. It's just been such a long time, and I finally I've got an AM4 board, and I've finally decided to get one of the 5800X3Ds because everyone's always talking about these chips, and it's like the only real logical upgrade for my system at this point. And the CPU is like so important in EFT, and with Streets coming up, I was like, dude, like my computer struggles on Lighthouse really bad. All the other maps are like passable. They're fine. Me and Church talked about this before, but like the other maps are passable for me. It's totally okay. But Lighthouse is just like it chugs. It really chugs. It's like 50 FPS normally, and then it's like 30 under scopes, and it's so bad. It's so bad. So I was like, right, if Streets is anything like this, it's going to be just unplayable, and it's going to be upsetting, and I'm not going to want to play on it. So let's get it done. So
Makes sense.
I was like crowdsourcing ideas from chat about like, I was just like, right, I'm going to upgrade a CPU for the first time in ever. Like, what am I like? Is there anything I've forgotten about? People just like, make sure you update your BIOS and make sure you do this, make sure you do that. And it's just like, oh, okay.
That's
so like I had to go like update my BIOS. I was like, fine. I was like, is this really necessary? And someone was just like, yes, look, the version before the latest one has critical vulnerabilities. And I was just like, okay. And then there's actual specific support for the 5800X3D. I was just like, fine, I will update the BIOS. Just like going through, like reminding myself how to do it. It's like, okay, so you're going to need to download this file from the Gigabyte website. Okay, all good. Now you're going to need to find a USB drive. I'm like, this is 2022. The last time I used a USB pen was probably about 15 years ago. Like, what? That's like, I don't even think I have one. Like, my computer's just like a faceless, like the blank fronted, like no CD drives, like nothing, right? So I was just like, oh my God. So I spent like 20 minutes in my garage, like sifting through boxes of just like old, like Ethernet cables, like modem router plugs, all sorts of stuff. I managed to find this like, I've actually got it here. It's like a 2 gigabyte like charity thumb drive that was like a freebie at a university careers fair event thing or something. They're just like, I was like, oh, this is finally going to come in handy. Just like stuck that on, got that in the machine. It's just like updating BIOS. I'm like, gosh, this isn't like, I hate updating the BIOS. It's just terrifying. Oh God. So like I did that. Then I had to get like the water cooler off.
Oh wow!
So I was just like, okay, like it's all inbuilt. It's like no big deal. But like I've never water cooled the system. I got the system pre-built with the water cooler in there because it's just like part of the package. So I'm like, okay, well I don't know how this works. I don't even know who the manufacturer is because it just like came with it. So I was like looking at it, like trying to take the thing off, doing the thermal paste and all this stuff. I was just like, oh my God, like it just feels so sketchy. And like, oh God, I hate it. But I managed to boot into it today. Everything was okay. I had to like, because there was a horrible error saying something was corrupted, but it turned out it's got there's like some new chip in this thing that the old one didn't have. It needs to generate some keys for, but it came up with this like horrible error message at the beginning. I was like, oh my God, what has happened? Is it going to blow everything up? And I like looked up on my phone, just like, oh God, it's the end. Like, is it going to reset everything? Everything's been wiped. This is awful. It was like, no, you just press yes and it boots into Windows. I'm like, why does it look like that? Honestly, I was horrified. I was absolutely horrified. But anyway, so after doing that and like re-enabling like XMP and stuff, I went and I'm going to put together a video about it, and I'm going to see exactly how I want to do it. I'm sort of putting it together at the moment. But I basically got like 50% extra frames on like every map. It's insane. It's actually insane.
What were you getting before? Number was like
before I was getting, and so I did all of these in offline mode. So they're probably, except for the labs one. So the labs scav event, I was getting 93 average and 57%, 57 frames for the 1% lows. And then with this one, I'm now getting 151 average and 87% as the 1% lows. So like customs, so offline customs, and again, so because it's offline, the I think that it's like slightly lower performance than you would see online. I think because you're doing scavs and stuff, right?
Yeah.
On your own
if the scavs are on, yeah.
Oh, you cut scavs on, okay.
Because I had bots on, yeah. Because otherwise, it just doesn't make. It's like everything runs really well. So I did like customs with bots was like average 57 with 32 lows, which is like I was like, it's not that bad when I play online. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But doing exactly the same setting is like 103 average with 45 lows offline. So I'm like, man, everything like. It's like 81% extra frames on not like normal and 40% better lows. And Lighthouse offline has gone from like 49 average, which is like it's pretty bad, and 25 lows to 73 and 40. So it's just like, oh, it's so good.
That's much so better.
Good.
Yeah.
So I haven't played much with it yet because I just played the Scav Labs event. It just felt so nice. So I'm just like, I was basically just betting on streets just being bad.
Yeah.
Ultimately, and it's going to be probably on par with Lighthouse. And if it's like that, then it's just going to be, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
I feel like isn't that what they mentioned? I think Nikita mentioned something about it being similar to like Lighthouse.
Same or better,
yeah. Which I mean, that makes sense to me. And like obviously over time they'll optimize and stuff. Like when it first comes out, it's probably going to be kind of a mess-ish. Hopefully not too much of a mess, but so I'm kind of expecting it just to be kind of a bit meh, and then we'll just see what kind of happens afterwards. But no, I feel like what is it? With Lighthouse, the one thing for me, I've had an issue since it first came out, like I guess start of this year or something, where I can't play more than one Lighthouse raid without having to restart my game. Because otherwise it's something to do with like it's my RAM and my CPU usage kind of jumps up. Like my CPU usage goes to like 97%. RAM can kind of like over the course of the raid goes up to like sort of 90+%, and then I get a blue screen.
Yeah,
and my PC just blue screens. And that's on the second raid in a row on Lighthouse. Every other map is fine. I can play that fine for the whole day, and whatever. Just Lighthouse. Even playing like first day like customs, when I load up the game and then I play Lighthouse, I get the same thing. So I might even need to restart after I play customs before I play Lighthouse. It's odd, and I mean it's I think it's a memory leak or something like that. I'm not entirely sure what it is, but even like software to sort of like clear the RAM or something like that, it doesn't work. I've tried everything. It just does. I have to restart my game every time before Lighthouse for it to run smoothly. Otherwise, I can literally feel like it just feels awful trying to like play Lighthouse when I don't restart it. It's weird.
That is really bizarre.
Yeah, so that's my issues with Lighthouse. Also, the fact that I just don't like the map. It's just not a fun map to play. It's just like everyone's farming rogues or I don't know what they're doing. They're just going for rogues and that's it. I don't know. Lighthouse is a weird map for me, so fingers crossed. Streets is better.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think it's gonna be interesting. I don't know. It's a very strange map though, right? Because of the design and the wide open streets plus lots of buildings. I don't really know how it's going to play. It's a bit weird. Like Lighthouse was obviously the sniping map, but yeah.
I feel like it'll play a bit. Sorry, go ahead.
No. Go on, Spawn. Don't worry.
I feel like it will play a bit like Reserve used to back in the old days.
I was going to say exactly the same thing.
And I used to not. I like Reserve, and now I'm like okay with it. And I do feel like the expansion, as you said earlier, kind of like dragged it down a bit. But on the old days, it was kind of interesting. I didn't really like it, but it was like you got in a building and that was like your building. If like people came in, they died, and you could shoot out. And you had like moving to building was like challenging, and I kind of feel like Streets might play a little bit like that. And as you said earlier, Hayes, with the windows and the lightings now, I just can see it now. There's going to be like some skyscraper with like just it's all glass on the side, and like people can't see in, but you can see out perfectly clear. So you just like,
Pain.
yeah,
Oh god. It's the same thing with like when you're in 2-story dorms and customs and you try to look through to 3-story and you just can't see it. It's like,
right.
guys, is it a guy? Oh, I'm dead. Great. Yeah. But yeah, that's it's gonna be interesting. I just hope they fix it at some point, like the sort of the lighting kind of where it's just overly dark. Like I saw a meme, I think, somewhere where there was like a real life picture of like, this is real life. And it was like, normal, like there's shadow, but it's not dark. And then Tarkov just like over contrast, like you can't see a thing in the shadow, but the light area is fine. But you just can't see a thing in the shadow. It's like, yeah, that's kind of funny. Checks out.
Yeah, it is kind of a reoccurring theme, isn't it? With Tarkov, just like the dark spots are kind of just too dark in lots of places. It's strange because like it's Interchange is sort of similar, right? It's like one of the issues with that is that it's all inside, and so something odd about the lighting model where you're looking inside or through glass from outside to in. It's just all a bit weird. It's very odd. I remember seeing something on Resort in particular for a long time ago. And I don't know whether this is still the case in the game or not, about the position of the sun and like what time of day it was and whether you could see into the east wing or the west wing, and like it differed. Like I'm not a big Resort pro, so I don't remember exactly which way around it was, but there was like sometimes it was super clear depending on where the sun was, whether you were looking from west to east or east to west, and which windows you were looking through. And I can't remember which way around it was. It was a long time ago. I'm not sure if that's still in the game.
Yeah, I think if so, if the walls have the sunlight directly on them, then you can kind of see. If it's like, so I guess if you're looking from east wings, I guess for example, trying to snipe over to 301 across, through the windows over to west, and the sun is behind you, like facing down towards 301, then you can kind of see decently well. Still kind of weird, but then if the sun is over on the west side, facing towards you, then everything's like pitch black and you can't see a thing. I think that's a very sort of global thing though. I think that actually makes a lot of sense in terms of that. So yeah, hopefully they fix it.
hopefully they can fix that. Exactly. Yeah. No, I don't know. It's just like the whole performance thing is just like, it's the same thing for me as with Lighthouse, right? It's like Streets is going to be big, open, lots of windows. You're going to be wanting to snipe. Lighthouse is a big sniper map, but because of the picture-in-picture stuff, right? It's like it's the worst map to snipe on, even though it's the best map, because the performance is the worst. Picture-in-picture makes it even worse, and it's like it's the map you want to use the scopes on. It's the Streets is going to be the same, right? It's like I want to use the scopes on Streets because it's so big. We might actually even have proper. Yeah, you do on Lighthouse for doing rogues and stuff, but you might even have proper uses for the 3x12s on some of these like bigger scopes. But I don't even want to use a scope because the performance is so terrible. It's like double compounded, like even worse because of the fact that the performance is bad in the first place. So I don't know. We'll see. We just got to put a hope in the fact that they've done the performance optimizing. Like we talked about this again a little bit before in church previously, but it's like, on Lighthouse, when you're stood up on one of the top points, you can basically see the entire map. So it makes it very difficult to optimize the map because there are places where you can just kind of see everything. Whereas on Streets, at least, if you're going to be behind buildings, you can then stop rendering stuff behind, and you might be inside buildings. You can then not render stuff outside, and like there's lots of things that they can do at least that they weren't really able to do on Lighthouse because of the openness and the sort of valley shape of Lighthouse. So
that's true. Good point.
I've got some hope, and Nikita sort of mentioned things like that before, that they've spent a lot of time looking at optimization and I guess little hacks that they're trying to do for performance saving and things like that. And I'm sure Lighthouse has taught them some things as well about.
Yeah, so speaking about performance, I feel like when they implemented, I think it was Unity 2019 or something, when Lighthouse came out, they had a big drop in performance just overall, I think, as well. I noticed maybe like a 20 FPS drop or something like around there ish. And that wasn't just Lighthouse, that was like across the board, I think. And I remember, I think it was like a Girls of Tarkov podcast just after that kind of that patch came out. I think it was like at the start of the year, where they said that there was something like some sort of like texture rendering thing that was missing in 2019 that was in 2018, and they were trying to work with Unity to get that back in. But I think it is in Unity 2020, and I'm hoping Unity 2020 is in this next patch because that'll help out on performance load. I think anyway. I'm not an expert on Unity or whatever, but from what they were saying, it should be in the next version of Unity, which is hopefully what they're going to bring in this patch. So that could actually just help out a load in terms of overall, but we'll see.
That's interesting. Yeah, I didn't know about that, but that's cool. I hope so.
Yeah,
I give everyone the 20 frames back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
No, I think you're right, Ace, because I heard recently that someone was saying this. Like, long story short, Unity wanted to be more competitive in the market of video or game engines, and so they like set up their game in like 2019 or somewhere in that era. Like it was like 2020. So yeah, maybe like because the other long-standing bug is the glasses where like at distance they glow, and I'm pretty sure that's a funny Unity bug that's
all right
fixed in the newer versions. I'm not certain about that, but
please, fingers crossed. I want to wear some glasses, you know. I'm always scared. I'm like, is it the glasses that'll glow, or are they not?
So annoying, dude. Yeah
and the intermittent FDE glowing parts as well.
Oh yeah, I don't even know what's up with that.
Yeah, with the scar, wasn't it? The scar, there was like one where it was like kind of fluorescent. You could just see it. You're like, what is that floating around? And there's a guy holding it. Oh, it's mad.
Yeah, it's super weird, those ones. But yeah. I don't know. It's crazy. It's like these third-party things are always tough, right? If you're building something super complex, it's like the same things that they had with Steam Audio, you know, where they're saying, well, we're just waiting. You can apply to have your issues fixed, but you're waiting on someone else to do the coding. It's like difficult situation. And if you're a client amongst all the other people who are using the software, it's tricky. So yeah, I mean, I get it. It's hard. It's hard. But yeah, just no glasses until then.
Yeah, that's it.
I had a very quick question for you, Hayes. Okay. What's going to be your go-to if everything stays as it is now? Let's say, what's your go-to weapon on Wipe on day one? Ignoring your stash, like if you just had to buy a gun from the traders, like what's the gun that you're going to be purchasing?
So on Wipe, probably the SKS. Just like PS rounds work. SKS nice and I think it's like 28k or 27k or something.
Is that the red one, the one without the mount?
Yeah, just base SKS. I've been using it like now just with BP rounds because people have better armor than they would in the Wipe anyway. But like I've just been kind of getting used to it and kind of like using it, and it's always so much fun. It's great. Yeah.
Do you take off the iron sight, the rear iron sight?
I used to, then I found it was just really inconsistent. I couldn't quite get a head tap, so I was like, I'll just leave it on. I don't get that much more picture, so I feel quite confident with the iron sights now to the point where I can just kind of like kind of tap people from kind of longish range. It's good. Yeah, SKS is my kind of go-to if I don't have anything else or if I'm low on money or something. Yeah.
And you top load it presumably.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. Sat there for 10 minutes, like, okay, yeah. Go make some food, come back. Oh, it's done now. Great.
Interesting. What's your go-to, Church? Actually, I'm not sure if I've even asked you. If you just have to buy a gun, right? You got to buy a gun from the traders.
It depends what kind of mood. If I'm in because last Wipe I did shotguns like for fun, like the slugs. I'll be like, and the break action I did as well a little bit. I think I did that. Yeah, because you could get Jaeger 1 just to mix it up a bit, but probably like RPK is like the goal. I guess that doesn't really count for like at the start.
It's not like day one, is it? Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, man. Probably just like a 545 AK of some sort. It's just easy to mod when you find the parts, you know.
You can buy. Yeah, you can buy one. Okay, can you buy one of those level 1 prep one?
I don't. I feel like you can trade for a 74U. I think. Yeah. And then I think level 2 you can get like a load of AKs. Like level 2 opens up a lot. I think.
Yeah, you get a ton of AKs there. Yeah, it's easy then.
Okay, fresh like first minute of the Wipe. Man, I don't even know, dude.
Like you just selected your face.
I feel like, man, yeah, probably. Honestly, now probably the SKS. Like previously, I probably would have gone with like an SMG, but with the recoil changes they did, because when 1212 first came out with the SMGs, dude, even the Sega freaking or VP19 just felt so bad to use. I was just like, what? Why is this thing got so much recoil?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I always like. I'm not really sure. I end up toying between a few different things personally. Like last wipe, I used a few different bits and pieces, but I think it's going to depend on like where I'm going. But the one gun that I really thought was super good last wipe that I never really used before, dude, is the PPSH. Like, do not discount the PPSH.
fun.
It's like the
All right.
only 35 rounder that you can get at level 1. It's insane. 35 rounder, like it's nuts. And
Yeah,
you can
that's-
leg meta people with
yeah.
AKBS. It's like so good. You just put people's feet and they die. They die super
That's not a
fast.
bad shout.
Or you can go for
Yeah.
headshots because you get 35 shots at 1,000 RPM just to go in their general direction. And it's
like,
so cheap. Yeah.
Oh, wow,
it's so
okay.
cheap. So that's pretty good. And then if I'm going kind of like semi-auto, then usually rather than the SKS, like I don't mind the SKS, it's pretty good, but I kind of prefer the VPO 136 for like it's slightly more expensive, but you get 30 rounders straight away. The recoil is like slightly lower than the SKS, but like it's a bit more pricey. And you have to buy like searchable mags for it and stuff. But like it's a different feel. It just feels a bit different. The iron sights are different. And it's because it just handles in a different way.
Yeah, is that on Jaeger though, right? So like is that
There's one
on Jaeger?
Skier and one on Jaeger. Yeah, I think you can
Oh, okay.
maybe only get it on Jaeger at the beginning.
Which
I think you
gun?
have to unlock it on Skier. The VPO 136.
Yeah.
762, like semi-auto. I'm not sure if you get it immediately. Maybe you do. I feel like maybe you do get it immediately.
It's Cedar Jaeger. I feel like Jaeger.
I feel like you get the 10 round mags, but you don't get the 30s.
Skier 1 standard.
Oh,
You can buy
no.
it straight away from Skier.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Now
okay.
there was a wipe. There was a wipe where you didn't get the 30s. But I think this wipe, I think they changed it back.
Oh, okay.
I believe. And so I think you can now get 130 rounder at Prapple 1, but I can't remember which one it is, and there's a billion of them, so I can't find which one it is. But yeah, no, it's not too bad. But yeah, the PPSH can never jam. So
That's it. Yeah, that's actually like a nice idea because like no one's got face shields at the start, so you can just like go ham on their face and they'll go down.
So many bullets and 1,000 RPM is nuts.
Doesn't it? Does it curve to the right, like up and to the right, or is it up and to the left? I forget.
It's up and to the left. You have to get used to it because it goes.
That's the one niche with it.
It pulls like a madman up to the top left.
The recoil sort of pattern. Oh, okay.
It's got a systematic pull to the left-hand side, which is like really weird.
Okay. All right. I'll have to try it out actually. I'll
try it
out tomorrow.
I'm probably going to leg meta people or like it's good. It's good. I like it. I enjoyed it a lot this wipe. I've never really used it before, and I used it so much this wipe. It was super fun. Super fun.
You convinced me. I'm bringing it on streets day one.
Yep. I'm right.
PPSH from the rooftop. Let's go.
Dude, Streets Day 1 is going to be crazy, right? Because it's going to be a map where you can see people but can't actually hit them conceivably.
Yeah.
True. Yeah.
It's going to be really cool. I remember like back in the day playing PUBG, and they used to do these like weekly events. I think there was a point where they were doing like these stupid events weekly, and there was one which was like shotguns only. And again, because there's not that much terrain in PUBG, it was like you could see the enemy team and nobody could hit each other. Like you couldn't shoot each other at all. So it like completely changed the game. It's like so weird. It wasn't even about spotting anymore because it's just like, well, they're over there, they're on the top of this building. No one can kill each other. It's like super weird. Maybe it's going to be a bit like that. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So Streets Day 1's going to be odd.
Yeah, are we all going Streets day 1?
I'm
or what are we doing?
I hope they put some quests there to make me want to go.
I thought I think he said they would have Streets quests, like quite a few of them. I think. I mean, I want to say they would
right at the start. I don't know though. Like, it'd be kind of interesting. It'd be kind of interesting if they were just like, you have to do these Streets quests. Like you don't have any others. Like they're gonna unlock everything. They like put them before all the normal quests.
I would love that. Cool. That'd be great. Yeah.
I mean, in theory, you can do your first quest anywhere because you just gotta find the shotguns now.
That's true.
And the TAWs.
And apparently, there's supposed to be like tons of scavs, right? On streets, or like they're like 15 scavs per building or something. They said I don't know what that means, but
something like that. Yeah.
So that could be good. Yeah, nice strat. Yeah.
The reason I would do it is I just love early wipe gameplay, and like I'm not gonna be able to get early wipe streets gameplay for another 6 months. You know what I mean? It's like it's just like as much as I love like grinding and like min maxing and race to 42 or whatever. It's once it comes by so like infrequently. Just want to take advantage of it while I can.
Yeah, I've kind of just like got off the sort of the race. I just want to experience things. I just want to like get in there and be like, all right, what's streets about? What's what's here? What's there? What's this shop like? What's I just want to explore things. I just want to see what's up. I'm not bothered about rushing to Kappa and I'm not going to get the first, world first or UK's first Kappa. I'm not going to do it. So what's the point? Like whatever. Like so yeah, I don't know. I'm just going to go in there and just explore. I keep saying that Streets is going to be my main map this wipe. I hope it is. So we'll see. I just want to spend all my time in Streets, just kind of like just being there and just like thinking up like different strategies and things and where the spawns are, all that stuff, and yeah, just kind of exploring it.
I might do a lot. It depends on how much they've changed the other stuff, but I think I'd probably quite like to do that. I've always been behind the curve because they always release the wipe with the map, and I'm like, oh well, I don't want to do that. And I was like, it took me ages before I played Reserve properly. It took me ages before I played Lighthouse properly. It'd be quite nice to actually just be in there on day one with everyone else, finding out the secrets and all this stuff. Because I always feel that I'm behind. It's like Reserve, I'm like fine with now, but like even Lighthouse, I'm not really up on like all the loot spots, and I never really go to villas. I usually go there just for the road camp and stuff. So it'd be nice to be part of that like first wave in. It'd be good.
Yeah, that's also a good point as well as the extracts as well. Like, I played Lighthouse when it first came out. I'm pretty sure I went MIA like 5 times in a row before I found an extract. It was painful but really fun at the same time. But yeah, like the extracts will be interesting. I think didn't they mention that they were gonna make it so the extracts aren't just like you just go there and then you just go, you leave. Like you have to do something or find something to do, like turn on a button or whatever, like kind of like reserve-ish for like most of the extracts. So that could be like the start of it in Streets, where you have to do something to kind of. I mean, I can imagine them putting that stuff in there, like secretively, like you have to do a certain thing to get that, or even like get dog tags to trade to this guy to let you get out or something. That could be interesting.
Yeah, I think he said that like most of the extracts were in the latest one anyway. He said that most of the extracts were going to be normal for now, but they are going to change them in the future, I think. But yeah, I mean, I like extracts like you get the key card and you go to the toilet and you swipe it, and then you have the power, and then you have to go through the door. And it's like, how do people even figure them out? It's
mad.
It's good though. It's fun. It's like the community figuring out the challenge of like what's hidden on the map. It's pretty neat.
Yeah,
pretty neat.
Cool. Well, Hayes, thanks so much for coming on, dude. It was a blast having you on. Really enjoyed our time together.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a good chat. It's been a while since I've been able to like chat with some proper sort of Tarkov heads and just put things like into sort of perspective and get some other ideas and yeah, no, it's been good. Thank you. Cheers.
Cool. Could you do us a favor? Where can people find you at best?
Well, on Twitch, just Hayes on Twitch. Twitter. Most of my other socials that aren't Twitch are I think Hayes streams. So yeah, just Twitter, whatever, YouTube. I think I need to get on the YouTube game again. I know GigaBeef's been killing it, so I need to catch him up.
It's a beast. It is a beast.
Yeah, it's. Oh god, it's that's another thing as well. God. Yeah. Anyway.
Cool. Well, guys, thanks everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you all next week.
Catch you later.